do you want to go into a diatribe about your boy Zach Wilson? Zach Wilson, Jets, Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Jets beat the Packers. Again, those points don't matter. But Zach Wilson was 9 for 11, 128 yards, 11.6 yard average, and 2 touchdowns. He also looked like he did very well, albeit he was playing the Packers defense, which isn't that great, and it was not their starters. So you would hope to see this sort of performance from your starting quarterback, but it seemed like he looked good. Did you watch any of the film? Did he have a hitch?
So he still, does have a tiny hitch, okay? And so obviously now we're on YouTube, right? We got some YouTube comments that were very unhappy with my take on Zach's first game, where I said he had a hitch, didn't necessarily throw within rhythm, and I had a couple people come at me on the YouTube comments. That's going to happen. YouTube comments are probably one of the most vile places on the internet.
To be fair, those comments weren't necessarily vile.
They weren't.
They were critical. They were showing up for their boy.
They were, and I understand that. Zach played a much better game. He looked more poised. He did still have a little bit of a hitch, but it was much less noticeable than in the first game. His coach, Robert Salah, said after his first game he needs to play within more rhythm. He's only going to get that little hitch in the NFL, then the ball's got to come out. He did a better job. He looked more poised. So hopefully he's making those improvements. I am not rooting against Zach Wilson at all. I want him to succeed. And I will come on here and say that I was wrong if he succeeds. He looked better, but I got to see it against an actual NFL defense. In preseason, what you're seeing in pre-snap is what you're going to see in post-snap. They're not really disguising coverages. They are not trying to confuse the quarterback. When you run a play action, turn your back to the defense, turn back around, you're going to see the exact same defense you saw pre-snap. I want to see him do it against an actual defense that's trying to disguise and screw with a rookie quarterback. I'm not going to say that he played bad by any means. He had good numbers, really good numbers, led 2 scoring drives. I just want to see it for real before I go back and recant my statements about him being a bust. But this is good stuff right here.
Yeah, so I liked Zach Wilson through the draft process. A lot of things that you have been critical on him and stuff, I agreed with for the most part, and I still do. I never was a fan of him going to the Jets because that is a very tough organization to succeed in, whether it's just the bad juju around it, the market, whatever it is. The Jets aren't that great of a team. It's a very tough situation for a rookie quarterback to come in and succeed just with that roster, let alone all the other outside situation that goes on there. Like I said, with the market and everything, it's just real tough to play there in New York. He definitely looked good in this game. Again, I think he's probably going to have a difficult year. Not necessarily because of his talents, but more so because of the team and catching up with the NFL game. I see him as being that quarterback that takes 2 to 3 years to really develop into their own. And whether or not he could do that with the Jets, I'm not sure. It's almost me being more critical of the Jets situation than him. I feel like in the right situation that he could perform and flourish.
He's got a ton of arm
and stuff
talent.
like that. It's just again, just like you're saying, I want to see him against a true NFL defense through an entire 4 quarters. I want to see how he performs when they are down bad. And if he's able to fight back, because we saw a little bit of that in college. We saw that fire and that moxie. But yeah, he had himself a real good game. But again, he was playing against backups. There's a lot of names if you're looking through this box score of the Packers team, and I'm fairly familiar with the Packers because being in the North, I like to know my enemy. There's a lot of names on here that are Jags. Just another guy that I don't even really recognize.
Right.
So he wasn't going against that top end talent.
Yeah, Alexander didn't play. Zadarius Smith didn't play. I want to see it against a real defense, and then I'll start having that conversation. I'll start walking back my Zach Wilson comments. But until then, this is a nice performance. but I'm not sold yet.
Yep. So next game and next rookie quarterback that we're kind of going to look over here is the 49ers. So just to preface this, 49ers have come out and said that we have not decided on a starting quarterback yet
Which is
for
wild.
week 1. Trey Lance, 8 for 14, 102 yards, 7.3 yard average, 2 touchdowns, but 1 interception again. And then Garoppolo was 3 for 6, 15 yards, and an interception. So he didn't play that much, but he also did not have that great of a day. What is your thoughts on the 49ers quarterback situation? Should they even be giving consideration towards Trey Lance being the starter?
No. And it's not because Trey Lance doesn't have talent. Trey Lance needs time. He is not a finished product. He is not even a halfway built product at this point. He has not played hardly at all. He started the game very rough, bounced back. You like to see that from your rookie quarterback. But he is just so inconsistent. Now, neither one of us are high on Garoppolo. He obviously 3 for 6 for 8 yards, you said?
15 yards.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It's still dog shit. Like, that's what Jimmy is. He doesn't push the ball
And
down
I
the
wouldn't
field.
say I'm not high on Garoppolo. I'm not high on him, but I don't dislike him. I think, again, he's that game management quarterback, which, you can win a Super Bowl with that. Look at the Ravens.
Yeah, but he's not a franchise guy. He's not. Even though everybody thought he was going to be when he left the Patriots.
Yeah.
He's very much a game manager, and you can win with that. He can put the Niners in a position to be decent because that defense is going to be good. That running game is fantastic. They have another 3-headed monster coming out of that backfield. If you push Trey Lance into a starting spot too early, it scares me because rookie quarterbacks can get rattled. You can crush a rookie quarterback's confidence if you play him too early and he doesn't perform well. We've seen it countless times. That's why you're big on having a guy sit. Trey Lance, his ceiling is much higher, but his floor is lower right now than Jimmy G's.
That's, to me, I don't know why you keep Garoppolo on the roster if you even have the possibility of Lance starting. Mm-hmm. If you are willing to have that open competition, I feel like you should have moved Garoppolo as an asset. Maybe bring in another veteran that could still play, but if you keep Garoppolo on the team, he should be your week 1 starter, barring injury, of course. There's always that caveat, but Garoppolo should be starting. He should play probably a majority of the year until the year gets lost or something like that, where they can no longer compete, just the same way that they're doing it in New England. Now, there hasn't been a starter named in New England yet, I don't think either, but everyone assumes that with Belichick it's going to be Cam.
Yep.
Though Cam is out due to some COVID protocol stuff right now, and Mac Jones is
not great.
Belichick has said, he's like, well, this is going to give Jones an opportunity to kind of show what he has and maybe try to turn our heads a little bit, and then he grumbled a bunch. But I still feel like Cam Newton will be the starter there week 1 for the Patriots. I feel like Garoppolo should be the starter for the 49ers week 1. And that both those teams should carry on with those guys as their starters for a while. Mac Jones, I believe, is ready to step in and play this NFL game this first season if he needs to. Trey Lance, coming from not a big name school, taking a year off, he needs way more development time. His talent and ceiling is way higher, but that takes a lot of development to get him ready for this game. Yeah. And we're already seeing some of that. Like, the natural talent will eke out. He's having some, pretty decent stats on certain things. Being able to throw 2 touchdowns already, being able to throw the 80-yard bomb in his first week. That natural talent is going to leak out, but he's got to be taught and learn to play within the confines of an NFL system and how all of that works. The guy just needs time. And I would hate to see such a talented guy as Lance get ruined by starting too early.
And I think that is my biggest fear, is that they play him too early and then he struggles and then he doesn't develop the way that we think that he can develop, because he has a ton of talent.
Yep.
There's no reason, in my opinion, that is the toughest division in football. You don't toss out a guy who is not ready into the toughest division in football. It does not help him. It does not help the organization down the line. But if Jimmy continues to play like crap, there's gonna be people calling for Trey Lance. So what do? Do you appease the fans, or do you go with the safe route and let Jimmy throw 10 passes for 90 yards?
You know, when you take a first round quarterback, there will always be the fans calling for them to start right away. And no, I don't think you appease those fans. But there's also times when people are calling for the backup quarterback and the situation 100% warrants it because you don't have a relatively good starting quarterback. And even at the low level that first round pick could be playing at that point, they're still going to be better than your number one. And there's a possibility of that with Garoppolo and Lance, that situation. I think Garoppolo has shown and proven that he is a safe, effective, average quarterback in the NFL. And I think that's enough for you to run your team this year. Again, if they're to the point where they're on the cusp of the playoffs or something like that, and Garoppolo is kind of the one holding them back, then maybe you consider Lance. But even then, just because of his history, not having played as much, needing time to develop, I still lean towards don't sacrifice your long-term future for the short-term success.